Twice, one of the leading news sources covering the CE industry. And, of course, in addition to Into Tomorrow, I think it is the other leading news source altogether. And, of course, the publisher of the official show daily every year for CES. Their editor-in-chief is Steve Smith, and always a pleasure to have you with us, Steve. Welcome back Into Tomorrow. Happy New Year. How you doing, sir?
Happy New Year. Thank you. Great to be back here in Vegas and with you on the air.
It's something that we look forward to every year,
yes.
This being the show. This is the granddaddy of them all, no
yes,
doubt.
It is.
And how do you get your team to cover? I know that I can't bring enough people, and we've got 11 of our Into Tomorrow staffers here this year. We can never bring enough people to cover everything we have to cover, and there's some 20,000 new products announced this week.
The challenge is really that each show is different, and the intensity of the companies trying to promote their new technology is different. Now, many of the technologies you'll see here, I think this week, will be add-ons, additions to what is already here, plus some revolutionary stuff. But our team has been going to the show for years. They have to be flexible, and they have to be open to more than just the usual top suppliers. Because sometimes the guys at CES Unveiled here do have parts to play, and they may become the next Sony, Panasonic, etc.
And we, as your teams discover as well, ours learned that a lot of the Innovations Award winners, companies that may be just startups or been around for a while but have not really made any big news, suddenly get some great awards, and their products are becoming more and more well-known to the general public, and as you say, can become big players in this industry.
Exactly. They can come up with ideas that make existing hardware run a lot better, run more efficiently, making them easier to use, which the consumer always wants.
Sure. Speaking of what the consumer always wants, I know your firm tracks all sorts of stats about Christmas holiday shopping and what happened with the industry. Was it a good season in this last month for the consumer electronics industry?
Everything is relative, especially during the holidays. But I think the study that Consumer Electronics Association gave in the fall, where they said they expected, I believe, was something like 4 or 5% growth, that seemed to happen. Compared to the previous year, of 2006, it was double the growth.
Wow.
So maybe they had half the growth. But if you compare it to other retail sectors, women's clothing, housewares, etc., consumer electronics again led the field, and it was a good year or a good holiday season for the industry as a whole.
And, of course, certainly the readers of Twice magazine and the Twice.com website and our Into Tomorrow listeners are all similar in nature in the sense that we're all kind of geared up for consumer electronics in general. And you would expect that folks say, okay, well, that's what I'm buying this holiday season. It's all about buying, and of course we remind people, buy a gift and then buy one for yourself, because you have to be able to experience all these things. What do you think 2008 looks like, though, for the CE industry? Are they off to a good start? Is this going to be an exciting business to be in again this year?
It's always an exciting business, but sometimes it gets too exciting for some companies to hang around, unfortunately. But I think it is an exciting year. I mentioned that historically you have, during presidential election years, through whatever mechanizations of the party who is in power, they will add more money to the system, etc. And even if it's a mediocre economy, things will work out well. This is going to be a testy year, I think, for the economy as a whole. Not that I'm an expert in it, but I think that consumer electronics, because of the passion for it on the part of consumers and the interesting new products coming along, I think we'll have a good year. But will every company in the industry have a good year? No.
Not so.
No.
What do you think, Steve, is the buzz of this year's CES here in Las Vegas? What's got you pumped and your team working hard to report on?
Well, we just found out that Warner decided to back Blu-ray exclusively.
Yeah.
That is a pretty dramatic development. I think you're going to hear more about home networking and using the television as really a focus for home networking, with a couple of developments that you'll hear about in the second day of the show. There'll be, of course, new developments in HD TV.
In general, thin is in is probably a major understatement.
I always thought, when I heard 3 or 4 years ago, that people were going to have paper-thin plastic screens that you'd be able to put up like color forms on the wall, that would be 20 years from now. You never know if that can happen. It's not going to happen here, but there are great developments also in, of course, anything that has to do with iPod, more iPod docks. You're going to hear more about HD radio becoming portable. Digital imaging is still very big and more sophisticated than ever before. And I think in the camcorder area, more and more easier to use and maybe a little less expensive HD TV camcorders. Of course, the big buzz for the manufacturers and the retailers will be the transition to out of analog. So a lot of stuff, tons of stuff going on.
That's true. We have our work cut out for us this week in reporting on all these things. And, of course, CES having plenty of content people around here as well, more than ever before. More government types from Washington, D.C. and around the world. How do you think that influences the industry, pro, con, or otherwise?
I think that what CEA has tried to do is be more inclusive and bring in regulators and bring in the content industry, where in the past, not in the past couple of years, but historically, there have been problems since the days of VHS and Beta and all of the stuff that has gone on the last 20 or 25 years. CEA is trying to make CES more inclusive. It's the best way. I mean, someone once called CES a Super Bowl or a World Series that anybody in the industry can attend every year. There's Don Patrick and Maxell who said that, and I agree. And they want to take this showcase for the industry, bring people together and exchange ideas, and maybe they'll find some common ground.
Learn more at twice.com. Twice, of course, being this week in consumer electronics. Steve Smith, editor-in-chief of Twice. Thanks, as usual, for joining us, and we'll catch up with you even after CES, not too distant future. I want to get your take on what you think happened and where we're headed.
Fine. Dave, it's always a pleasure. Have a great show.
And thank you, sir. Steve Smith again with Twice. We're back with more as Into Tomorrow continues from the International Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. Don't go away.